Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is May 5th, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 83 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me. As always, before I begin, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information provided in this video on this channel, all these videos are directly from official government sources like USCIS and the Department of State with their visa bulletin. Let's start with the very first comment from Nobleman Amy. Hello, I have been documentarily qualified since 19th January 2023. Congratulations, that's a huge milestone. Priority date 26 March 2015. Visa class F24. Okay, Montreal Embassy, Canada. I haven't gotten an interview appointment yet. I have already emailed the embassy and gotten no reply. Sorry about that you're dealing with, you didn't get a reply from the embassy. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's really at the discretion of, people at the embassy. Sometimes people get lucky and they get information from the embassy. I would recommend in your case, because you are already documentarily qualified and because you roughly know that your immigrant visa should already be available right around this time, you're just waiting for an interview, I would recommend actually calling instead of sending the email, calling the US Embassy and seeing if maybe by any chance you could get the information. Obviously be professional, be polite. It still is not a guarantee, and most likely chances are, much more chances, is that they just tell you we can't provide this information, and that's really it. But I have seen instances where people call into the embassy and somebody's really nice and understanding on the phone, and they're actually able to look at the scheduling and say, oh, looks like we don't have anything available for the next 4 months, for the next 5 months. So you already kind of know roughly that your interview might be somewhere around 4 or 5 months waiting for it, right? And keep in mind that when they do schedule the interviews, they schedule 30 days ahead. So let's say if they have the availability, for example, for June 1st to schedule the interview, they will schedule it on May 1st, 30 days in advance, so that you have 30 days in order to go and get that medical procedure done. There's another thing that you can do, another recommendation that I can give you is that you can reach out to the NVC. Obviously you're familiar with the NVC, you're familiar with the NVC portal, but I'm going to show you the public inquiry form, how to find that with the NVC if you don't know already, and that's going to be, I think, helpful for everybody else who's watching this video. So you can find this link right here for the visa bulletin. You probably are familiar with this in the description of this video. It's called Visa Bulletin May 2023, something like this. And this is the page that is going to open up. This is the website, official government website for the Department of State, for their Bureau of Consular Affairs. So once you have this page open, you're going to click on Contact Us right here at the very top. And that will load for a while in my case. All right. US visa contacts right here. This is what we need. You're going to click on that and you'll scroll down a little bit. You will see this table, and at the very top row, you will see there's a National Visa Center email, public inquiry form. It's not really email. It is a public inquiry form, an online page. We're going to click on it. And then once again, you will see online immigrant visa inquiries only, public inquiry form. Click on that. And this will get you to the public inquiry form where you will fill out some information, the NVC case number, you already know that, you have that. Principal applicant's full name, that's the beneficiary, beneficiary's date of birth, petitioner's full name, who are you, petitioner or beneficiary, email address, and then your inquiry. And in your inquiry, you can provide some details to identify the case, to identify yourself and your, whether you're a beneficiary or petitioner. Tell them that you were already documentarily qualified, that immigrant visa should already be available for your case, judging by the visa bulletin. And ask them approximately how long more do I have to wait for an interview. Again, this is this public inquiry form, in most of the cases it is responded. However, it is most of the times responded very, very boilerplate and really without any kind of information. But that is another option to potentially give them a little bit of a nudge and say, hey guys, come on, I've been through all this, I've done all this process, and what are we waiting for? Let me just go and get this immigrant visa because my family is waiting, and I have been waiting since 2015 now already. So yeah, that is another option. The last option that I wanted to give you is you can submit an expedited request. And the expedited request I usually recommend, not usually, I think that's always I recommend, after you send this public inquiry form. After you get the response, if you're not satisfied with the response, if it's just a boilerplate response, then you can send an email to NVC requesting the expedited processing. And I actually have a whole separate video on this channel on requesting expedited processing with NVC. Check it out if you're interested in doing that. I'm not gonna get into too much detail about it right now, but let me put this so that you know that I have addressed your comment, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Rishikesh Paul. I live in Bangladesh. As a Bangladeshi citizen, I'm eligible for the E2 visa. Now I'm planning to work in the USA, opening a startup as an employer. Am I eligible to fill the form I-129 and submit it by myself? Okay, Rishikesh, thank you for your question. So, whenever it comes to the I-129, if you are talking about petitioning for yourself as an employer, as a startup, you started a startup and then you're petitioning for yourself, unfortunately you cannot do that. That's not how it works. If it was the case, then obviously, a lot of people would have been taking advantage of this, and this is not the case. You do have to have an existing employer that is not a brand new employer, that has a reputation, that has an established history, that has an income that is coming in, that has assets that they can show, and they need to be in search of the specific qualifications from the foreign employee that they're trying to, petition for. And they send you, they fill out the petition for you, they petition for you, and then obviously based on that petition, which is based on the employment contract that you already have with them, you can do all of that stuff. Now the e-visa is a little bit a different story. Now we are talking about the investment through the treaty. I'm assuming, I'm not personally familiar with specifically what kind of a treaty Bangladesh has with the United States of America, but I'm assuming you know better because you do know that Bangladesh is citizen and there is eligibility for the E2 visa. Now based on that, of course, you might be able to do something that will allow you further to find these different avenues in order to become a permanent resident in the United States of America based on your investment. And the E2, you have to really look at all of these investment visas because there's a lot of different categories within them, and some of them require more of the investment, and some of them require more of the involvement. That's how I would classify it, because here you're just showing capital and you say, yes, I will come into the United States and put in a whole bunch of money into this undeveloped area, and a lot of times you will see the requirement is that it has to be beneficial investment for United States basically government, and one of those investments would be somewhere, a kind of area where nobody wants to invest. That's why they invite these foreign investors and say, hey, look, we have this territory. Everybody who we have here in the United States, nobody cares about this. So foreign, come on in, invest. And obviously it's a more risky investment. Obviously it's much more, lengthy investment. You will invest in initial capital, and then there's almost 100% chance that you will have to spend a lot more money into it in order to make this work, which most of this initial capital investments are huge. But then whenever it comes to the involvement, then you have to be already an established trader, for example, of some sort, somebody who organizes these, between the companies. He kind of someone almost like a messenger between two industries, infrastructures, and is responsible for bringing the goods over, maybe from the United States, maybe from Bangladesh to the United States. Again, there is a benefit in this to the United States of America. So the reason why I'm saying this, if you understand these different categories, you will immediately know which one it is that works better for you, because you might say, oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of money, I'm willing to take a risk and invest it. I am interested in doing that. That's it. Or you can say, I am a trader by trade, and I am interested in doing this, and I already have a relationship with some, I don't know, infrastructures in Bangladesh, and I might be able to establish something with the United States. There you go. So Rishikesh, I think you need to do more dive into the investor visas. I don't think that the I-129 is gonna work for what you're trying to do, but if you are able to find a company in the United States that is willing to hire you and sponsor, petition for you, then you don't need to worry about the investment visas. Then the I-129 is the way to go. So see which one works for you best. If you have any follow-up questions, you're always welcome to come back and ask them here on this channel. Alright, moving further to Halim Mubashir. After reaching Canada on visit visa from Pakistan, how long does it take to convert visit visa into work visa, and how much does it cost? Do I need a job there for this visa conversion? Halim, thank you very much for your question. I'm not really expert. I mean, I'm not expert in anything, but I'm not really that knowledgeable that much on the immigration process and bureaucracy of Canada, basically. I'm more familiar with the bureaucracy here in the United States of America, but I know that the system is very similar in Canada to the way it is in the United States of America. So I will answer based on what it is here in the United States, and it most likely is the same for Canada. So for the United States, how long does it take to convert visit visa into work visa? And how much does it cost? It really, really depends on the employer. Whenever it comes to the work visas, you are working with the employer, and for the most part, you don't even have to worry about dealing that much with the immigration. It is the employer that does all of that. They petition for you, they send the forms for you, they take care of all of that process, right? The only thing that you worry about is getting, individual things like the employment authorization document, social security, and then providing all of that stuff to the employer. But it is the employer that obviously files all of these documents to the Department of Labor, to USCIS, and asking for basically them allowing you to stay in the United States of America. Why? Because they hired you. You're employed with them. And do I need a job there for this visa conversion? Yes, absolutely. In the United States of America, 100% you do need that. Again, in Canada, it might be different, but this is the case that is here. And like I said, a lot of times it's very, very similar to the way it is in Canada, but again, you might be able to find something else. So I would recommend doing some more research and maybe asking somebody who is a little bit more experienced with specifically Canada immigration. I've only been to Canada once, and for like few days, so I never really dealt with anything like that in Canada. Alright, let's move on to the next one from Islander Oceanside. Do you upload 2 photos in the one PDF? Because we used the digital copy from the photo lab and it was only one showing in the file, and that question was posted on documentarily qualified video. No, you don't have to worry about that whenever it comes to the digital uploads. If it requires the picture, just upload the one picture. Just make sure it's good quality, it's not blurry, there's nothing on the background, just regular white background. It's not edited, there is no Photoshop that was done, there is no basically passport style photo. Nothing is obstructing your face or anything like that. That's really it. That's the only requirements. So let's say if, for example, I know why you're asking this question. If, let's say, for example, for a physical application petition, it says you need 2 pictures, then you're doing it digitally, you don't need to worry about uploading that twice. Just one is fine, because they can duplicate it and triplicate it, and however many times they need to use it, they can definitely do that. Alright, let's move on to the next one from Islander Oceanside as well, and looks like 2 comments in one. The fee is still $325. I just applied in March 2023 and $120. Islander, thank you very much for confirming that. So in this video, we were if you guys haven't seen this video, that goes for everyone. If you haven't seen this video, which is documentarily qualified, what does that mean? It's a recent video. I highly recommend checking it out. For everyone who has an I-130 petition, check that video out, because in that video I was able to get access to a real NVC portal by someone who was already documentarily qualified and someone who already got their immigrant visa, in fact who already got their permanent resident card, because they already came here, they got their permanent resident card. But you can actually see how the NVC portal looks. You can see everything in that video that needs to be submitted. The civil documents, the financial documents, the affidavit of support, the immigrant visa application, DS-260, all of the fees, how much they cost. And the reason why I asked in this video, I was like, this was done in, I think, 2021 or 2022. So the fees might have changed. They might have gotten a little bit more. And Islander Oceanside confirmed that it's still $325 for the, I think it is $325 for affidavit of support, and then $120 for the DS-260. It might be the other way around. I think it might be the other way around, but you get the point. This is kind of a total for one beneficiary. And then the next looks like a question. I uploaded not a question, it's a comment. I uploaded transcript and W2, not taking any chances. 100%. I agree with you. I would do the same thing, you know. Do the whole thing. Just upload W2 and, you know, all your 1099s, whatever it is you have from your tax returns, because seriously, that is a good strategy. You know, these documents are required. You know that they give you an option whether this or this. You have both. Upload both and let them decide whatever they want to use or whatever. It's better to do it this way rather than waiting 3-4 months for them to review it and then they come back and say, oh, can you please also upload the W2? Except they're not politely. They're not gonna say please. They'll say your W2 is missing. So definitely great strategy. I definitely recommend doing that as well. All right, moving further to the next question. Actually, you know what? Before I forget, let me do this, because I will forget. All right, next question is from Andrew Keener. Andrew, thank you very much for another comment. Really appreciate it. Do you recommend filling out these applications with or without the assistance of a professional? In example, attorney, etc. I personally don't speak government or legalese. I like that, Andrew. I think I'm gonna borrow that from you. Legalese. I like that. And it's been my experience that forms written by governments, not of this nature, are needlessly, I know what you're talking about, are needlessly complicated, hard to understand, and redundant in what they ask. Absolutely 100%. Also, what the difference between a tax return and a tax transcript? Okay, so let me start with the tax return and tax transcript, and then I'll address the other question. So, apparently, and I did not know that myself until probably like 3-4 years ago. That's when I started. No, it was longer than that. Whenever I started personally dealing with the I-130 and filing that petition for my parents, for my brother, I found out that there is a whole separate tax document which is called tax transcript. If you look through it you know, it's practically kind of looks like almost, to me it's legalese, literally. I could not understand what the difference is. But it looks like it is a skeleton that is taken out of the tax return. So you have tax return with this presentation, with all of these, you know, different tables and numbers and all of this and that. And tax transcripts, sorry, see, I confused both of them. Tax transcript is like they took out the most important, which I don't think it's still important. I think it's a bunch of bureaucratic garbage. But for them, I guess, they took out the most important things out of tax return and they put them combined. So it is less paperwork, it's less papers, and it's literally just numbers and tables, and not tables, but like the it's hard. I don't know. I would not be able to tell you what the difference is between the two, but it looks like it is a shortened version of a tax return, basically. And as far as, you know, right now that we can tell, in the NVC portal, when you are becoming documentarily qualified, they are not requiring the tax transcript. They only require tax returns. But for a fact, they have started as of recent requiring tax transcripts during the interview. And to me, it almost seems like this nasty trick that they use, because I have seen people that went for an interview personally. I know them personally. It's not somebody random. It's not somebody story from a story that I know these people. They went. This lady, she went for an interview. It was her daughter that was petitioning for her, and she went for an interview, and she brought the tax returns with her, and they looked through it and they said, oh, wait a second, where's the tax transcript? And she said, what are those? And they sent her back. They did not give her an immigrant visa. And after that, she did get an immigrant visa. I think she had to wait. She had to wait for a while, I think like 3 or 4 months, and she went back for an interview and addressed it, and she had a tax transcript, and she got her immigrant. But it was an unnecessary delay because of this dumb government bureaucracy, because of this legalese garbage. And you will see it once you get the email that actually schedules the interview. You will see the language specifically, it says tax transcripts. That's why in this video, the NVC portal, I said that, get those transcripts now, just so that you don't have to worry about them, just so that you have them on hand when they do schedule the interview. You take them and show them and satisfy their requirements for the same exact garbage. But this is what we get when we deal with this system. But to answer your first question now, whether about the assistance of a professional, it's almost like you can do it this way and have it better off. You can do it this way and have it better off. You can do it this way and have it much worse. You can do it this way and have it much worse. With an attorney, it is good, of course, because, if the attorney is a good individual, someone who is an attorney because they want to take, good care of people that are not familiar with the process, they're helpful, they are, able to offer you, peace of mind, all of the information and all of the things that you need to know about the process, and then they just take care of everything and explain you everything along the way. They answer your calls right away. They call you back pretty quickly. They don't charge you for these stupid things. Oh, I'm sorry, this phone call will cost you $200. No garbage like this. Then yeah, of course, it's good because they will guide you, they will navigate you through the process. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, you can see how with an attorney things can go horribly wrong because you thought that you're hiring somebody who will help you, guide you through the process, but instead they're dragging the case. They made a mistake somewhere because they don't really care about the case because it's not their personal case, it's somebody else's case that they're getting money for. They are, you call them, they don't answer, they don't return your calls. So, to me, for example, I've been through this lesson, and to me, attorneys, they just did not work out, okay? For me, things started working out once I was like, it's enough. I'm not going to be dealing with attorneys. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to read through all these instructions. I'm going to understand this process. And I know it's a pain because, yes, you're dealing with the legalese, but at the same time, you are doing your best to, it's your case. It's your case. It's your personal situation. It's important to you. So obviously, you will approach this with care, with attention. So it's up to you, Andrew. It's up to you, Andrew, which route you want to go. But if you do decide to go with an attorney, and everyone who's watching this video, if you guys do decide to go with an attorney, still, I recommend you stay on top of the case. Know the process. Regardless, don't just give it into somebody's hands and think that that's it. All right, let's move on to the next one from, again, Andrew. Thanks for answering my question. It would be incredibly helpful to know what documents are needed for spousal visa and the fiance visa. I also left a question on your documentarily qualified video. Yes, Andrew. So I just addressed that documentarily qualified video question. Now, whenever it comes to the spousal visa and fiance visa, I remember in previous answer I told you about the K3, right? The non-immigrant visa for a spouse. Ironically, it's exactly the same thing. You're filing the I-129F, I think. Let me take a look. Forms, all forms. Let's see, I-129F. Yes, okay. So this is exactly the same thing. So the only difference is that with the fiance visa, there is no process. You didn't get married, you didn't start any petition, nothing. You're just filing the I-129F, so she could get the fiance visa, the K1. But for the K3 visa, you have two options. You can file, obviously you're getting married first because it's your spouse, but whenever it comes to the whole immigration part of this process is you are filing two options, either I-130 and I-129F together as a one application package. It's still two applications, but in one package you're sending them together. So you're saying basically to USCIS, I am starting a petition, a family petition, family reunification petition for my spouse, and at the same time I also want her to have a spouse visa in this duration while we're waiting for this I-130 petition to be approved. And then the second option, you can start your I-130 petition and then file whenever you want, right after, next day, or 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road. If you are doing it this way, I would recommend waiting a little bit. If you're doing it separately, I would recommend waiting to get the NOR from USCIS, notice of receipt from USCIS first, for the acceptance of I-130. That way you definitely don't have to worry about your I-129F because you will be sending it, it's free. If you're doing it that way, if you have started I-130 petition, then the I-129F, you don't have to pay for it because you already paid for the I-130. In that way, there will be no confusion. You will not leave it up to them to find your I-130 application in their system. That way, you sending them the receipt and they already know the receipt number and they're like, okay, yeah, okay, it's definitely within our system. The I-130 definitely has been already filed. But yes, you will be looking at exactly the same thing, I-129F, and obviously if spouse, then I-129F for the K3 visa, and obviously the I-130 to start that family reunification process. And again, Andrew, I'll say it to you and I'll say it to everyone who's watching, if you're planning the I-130 family reunification, start it as soon as possible because it involves some time to wait, and we wait for a long time, a lot of times, unfortunately. Actually, you know what? Let me post this so that I do not forget, and we're gonna move on to Semhar Isaac or Isaac. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Thank you so much for the brief explanation. Hoping everyone who was stressed out with where to begin with will get relieved after watching this video. Semhar, thank you very much. I appreciate your kind words. I really hope that as well. So let's do very last, I think, probably very last comment for today from Muhammad Chowdhury. I have 35361 this year and they rejected. I need a joint okay, I'm assuming that's the amount that you made. Okay, 35,000 and they rejected. I need a joint sponsor, and also they reject my old fee after 15 days. I don't understand what to do, how to. They want me to pay again old fee even they already charged from my bank. Okay, Mohammed, so I'm gonna address that last part. You should not be charged again. And that goes for everyone who's watching this video. Whenever it comes to becoming documentarily qualified, if you have paid for an affidavit of support, I mean, not if you have paid. It's part of the deal. You have to pay for an affidavit of support if you want to become documentarily qualified as the main petitioner, because the main petitioner will always be the sponsor. You cannot be the petitioner and then not be the sponsor. You have to be the sponsor. So you pay for that initial affidavit of support, and if you don't have enough, if they determine that you don't have enough money, and then they come back and they say, hey, you need a joint sponsor. If you add another joint sponsor, one joint sponsor, two joint sponsors, you don't have to pay anything for that. All right, all of the additional other affidavits of support for the joint sponsors, you don't have to pay for any of them because you already paid for your own. That's the only fee that you need to pay. So, Muhammad, with that being said, I am thinking that you either misunderstood that they ask you for another fee, because they would not ask you for another fee for an affidavit of support. It's just literally one time you paid and that's it. Or maybe I am thinking then that they took money from your bank and the transaction is pending. Nah, that wouldn't be the case. Never mind, scratch that. I don't think they would take out the money from the bank and then they would put the money back in the bank because they did not accept your affidavit of support. No, that's not going to be the case. They did accept your affidavit of support. They just did not accept the amount that is, because it's not enough for you to be the sponsor for the beneficiary. So all you need to do is you do need to find a joint sponsor. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like it's an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to find a joint sponsor. So you will have to do some talking to people, explaining to people the situation, and hoping that someone would be, kind enough to say, hey, Muhammad, I will be the joint sponsor for your family. I'll help you. I'll help you out with that. But yes, that's really what you need to do. Don't worry about the fee. The real worry that you need to do right now is, obviously we don't need to worry about anything because everything is in God's hands, right? Everything is God's plan. But your task right now that is in front of you is finding the joint sponsor. That's really it. So thank you everyone for watching this video. As always, I'm really grateful for your questions. Hopefully you found my answers today in this video helpful to you. If you have any follow-up questions, just post them anywhere in any of the videos in the comments below. Just make sure, please do not respond to my comment within your comment, because if you do that, I don't get the notifications for those responses. For some reason, they don't show up on my wall here in front of me. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your time. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.